Welcome back to Bibliophiles Audiophiles. If you're using your eyeballs, you'll notice something's a little bit different today. You can actually see us. Hello!
Yay!
We're here!
People!
I
We're not
know!
just ghosts.
I know, we're not AI. That's crazy. Okay,
Crazy.
today we're doing Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance by Alison Espach. It was a Spinwheel number 4 book. It is on Kindle Unlimited. If you don't have Kindle Unlimited, the Kindle version is $11.99. It is available to listen to on Spotify Premium if you have Premium. The description is as follows. For much of her life, Sally Holt has been mystified by the things her older sister Kathy seems to have been born knowing. Kathy has answers for all of Sally's questions about life, about love, and about Billy Barnes, a rising senior and local basketball star who mans the concession stand at the town pool. The girls have been fascinated by Billy ever since he jumped off the roof in elementary school, but Billy has never shown much interest in them until the summer before Sally begins 8th grade. By then, their mutual infatuation with Billy is one of the few things the increasingly different sisters have in common. Sally spends much of that summer at the pool, watching in confusion and excitement as her sister falls deeper in love with Billy, until a tragedy leaves Sally's life forever intertwined with his. Opening in the early 90s and charting almost 2 decades of shared history and misconnections, Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance is both a breathtaking love story about two broken people who are unexplainably, inconveniently drawn to each other, and a wryly astute coming-of-age tale brimming with unexpected moments of joy.
The trigger warnings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Content warnings. Nope. Trigger warnings. Car accident, death, child death, suicide attempt, suicidal thoughts, mental illness, self-harm, death of a parent, and vomit.
Can we also add sexual content
Yes.
and I guess profanity?
Yeah, I would have profanity as well. This one did have
They're
quite a
both
bit. Yeah.
pretty minor, I guess, in the sense, but that's something that I was surprised that didn't show up on the trigger warning list on
Yeah.
Storygraph. Anyways, for reviews, so the average rating on Storygraph is 3.86. The I didn't pick a 1 star, I actually picked a DNF. So this is 0 stars. This person said, just got bored. Nothing like her other book, coming of age story, but very slow. And then the 5 star I picked says, heartbreaking, beautiful, and funny. I loved it. Goodreads. I picked this 1 star that says, I really struggled with this book. The writing was good, but the storyline was difficult. There was so much sorrow and grief, it was just too much. There were sprinkles of happy memories throughout, but it wasn't enough. I felt like I was reading a journal entry written to Kathy the entire time, but instead of Dear Diary, there was just a lot of, remember that times? It got redundant about halfway through. And then the 5 star I have on there, I don't remember. I said 3.8 as the average, right?
Yes,
Okay.
on Storygraph 3.86.
It's also a 3.8 on Goodreads.
Oh, that's cute.
So, the 5 star on Goodreads says this novel is about losing a sibling while you were both teenagers, a sibling you shared a room and a life with. It is about the marvelous before and the terrible during and the never ending after of losing a person who's close to you in more special ways than anyone could ever be. And then on Amazon, the average rating is a 4.2. And the 1 star pick says, can't even give it a star. I wish we could see the content and the frequent use of the F-bomb on every page. It was awful. I hate when authors use bad language and sex throughout the book. It's not needed, too late to return, or I would have. 5 star says, another lively, insightful novel from Alison Espach. How do we grow beyond devastating grief? Each character is unique, and in Espach's hands incorporates the loss of the older sister in his/her own special way. We come to know and love the younger sibling, especially as she grows up and falls in love. This was a wonderful read. And that is that.
Hooray!
Yay! Time for games.
Cue the thing that we totally have planned.
Oh, I have something planned.
Okay, cue the thing that she totally has planned.
There's some spoilers coming up, sweetie. You better cover your ears.
I filled up like a page front to back, but like I do not have that many notes. One of them is just really big.
I I mean, I always have just like a page.
Okay.
So it's just a bunch of like bullet points.
Yeah.
Um, it was kind of hard to write notes for this. But do you want to start?
Yes, I can start. So I first off, I just want to say I'm glad that I have a brother. I do have younger siblings, but like the sibling like close in age, I'm really glad that that's a guy. So that way we
Yeah.
didn't have crush on the same people growing up. Because like when it first started out, how it was like the two sisters that have a crush on the same guy, I'm like, that is not going to end very well, like at all,
Mm-mm.
no matter what happens.
Well, like the thing is, like the reason why she had such a like a huge crush on him is because Kathy, like for her, like she thinks the absolute world, and by her I mean Sally, if
Yes.
we didn't
Yeah,
make that clear.
Sally.
So
Sally's the
Sally's the main
main
character
character.
who's talking this whole time, and Sally just thinks the world of her sister Kathy. And like pretty much everything Kathy says like is correct,
Hmm.
accurate. So like of course she's gonna think that like Billy Barnes is cute because
Hmm.
Kathy says he's cute. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this is like my standard that I need to follow because this is what Kathy thinks.
Honestly, like my little sister is getting to the age where she like is like thinking that guys are cute, and her taste in guys is disgusting.
Well,
Like,
she's only like 11.
yeah, I know, but like she likes the cute guys. Like I don't like guys that are cute because I know that they're gonna be like, messing around and stuff. But she really al already is like only likes guys that are like, they got the hair, they got the
Yeah.
necklaces. Yeah, I'm like, girl, no, that's not where it's at.
I mean, she doesn't know yet.
I know. Hard to
I
find those
was,
down here in the South though.
that's true.
Down here it's like, howdy partner. You know?
That's very true. There was like one of our mutual Facebook friends was posting about how she was on a dating app with her friend and was going over like the different kinds of guys, and she's just like, "What's wrong with men?" And I'm just like, honestly, because before I met my husband, because I met him through a dating app, you and I were going through all the dating app stuff. And like the only thing you ever see down here in the South is just like guys who hunt and guys who fish and all the dead carcasses of like animals. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes, that is
They're
exactly what I want to see when I'm
always
looking for a
holding
date.
like a dead deer, a dead duck, a
Yes,
dead dove, a dead
yes,
fish. It's always
yeah,
dead. I'm like, guys,
yes,
hold a puppy. Like
yes.
hold something alive.
Yes, but no, like let's not do that.
I
Like
know.
it just there's the pick of the crop, the cream of the crop. I don't remember how
Yeah.
that phrase goes, but whatever. You get my point.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's right. Cream of the
Yeah.
crop. Yeah.
But back on topic. One of the things, so like this whole book is written like kind of like short little letters to her sister, and
Hmm.
it's all pretty much in like second point of view or second perspective, I
Yeah.
guess, which is very rare you ever see in a book. And the way, like the first thought I had is with that in mind, the way it's written reminded me of this other book I read that's also in second perspective because
Yeah.
it's also like a letter to somebody. And that's called The Lightly Lost by Jill Santapalo. Yeah. And that one was really well done. And I really, really loved that book. So I
Hmm.
kind of put that on our list of books that I'd like us to read on the podcast because I really loved it.
Grandma is saying that Kathy, which is the older sister, could be an anchor woman, and then telling Sally that she could be
Yes.
a nun.
Yes, I have that exact quote pretty much. She was just like, "You're so smart, quiet, and well behaved. You'd make a great nun." And I'm
I
just like,
know.
why are you?
After
And
being
that's,
like, Kathy, you're so smart and beautiful and funny. You could be a nun though.
yeah.
Like, what?
Yes. And I think that's the whole thing, like why she thinks the whole world of her sister, because that's how her parents treated her. Like
Everyone did.
Kathy was an icon. She was amazing. She sang the national anthem at all the basketball games.
Hmm.
Like she was just this like star in her
Yeah.
parents' eyes. And then Sally was just like there. But like because this is like the model that she saw, she's just like, I need to be Kathy because Kathy's always right. Because my
Yes.
parents say she's always right
So it's
and
true.
she can do no wrong. So that's
Yeah.
true.
I know
And
the
that,
the
like,
double standards in this book between the two daughters was crazy.
yes. And even after, like, spoiler alert, Kathy dies in a car accident.
Oh,
So with that, like, even after she's dead, her parents still treat her as, like, did I, like, write exactly what I'm trying to say? She's pretty much living in Kathy's shadow the whole entire time because her parents still are like, oh my gosh, Kathy, like, our beautiful daughter, she's gone. And then Sally's just like there.
yeah. I know. And then like the mom was like before and after, like all through the book, the mom is talking about how concerned she is about how quiet and like weird Sally is
Yes,
in the room with Sally where Sally can
yes,
hear her. I'm like,
yes.
no. If you got concerns about your kid, don't be like, oh, she's over there. she's kind of weird,
Yeah.
like don't do that.
No, no, no. That's how you make them more quiet, actually.
I know.
I did think though, with Kathy being who she is, that she was a very big oversharer. And like there's like a 3-year age gap, I think, between the two of them.
I don't think I wrote it
Because
down, but it's a few years, yeah.
I think it's 3 because I think she was 13 when Kathy died, and Kathy just learned how to drive, so I think she was like
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
that sounds about right. So 3 to 4 years, I would say. And like she's going on a date with Billy Barnes, and like she was just like, yeah, we went to the beach and he fingered me in like the backseat of the car or something. And I'm just like, why are you telling your 13-year-old
Right?
sister that?
Yeah, like why? Ew,
Like
gross.
I if it were me and I had a sister, and like even if my brother was telling me about his like sexcapades, I'd just be like, why are you telling me this?
I'm literally your sibling.
Yeah, like
Like we don't
I don't need to know that.
wait, this is not need no information, On that kind of on that note, I think Sally had asked a sex question at school, something about like some girl having two vaginas, and so she
Yes.
had asked the health ed teacher, like, hey, like, is that possible? And everyone started making fun of her, thinking that
Yes.
she had two vaginas. And
Yes.
then her sister, like Kathy, was like, do not ask like questions like that at school. And I'm like, that's really smart because kids can be really cruel, as
Yes.
I know this book's not, based off real events, but like still.
Right. But at the same time, I feel like that's what made her quiet because all these kids are making fun of her. So she's kind of just like, well, now I can't say anything because they're just
Hmm.
going to make fun of me for it. And like her question was valid. And it kind of like, for me, that actually, I don't think it really brought back memories, but like I remember kind of feeling that way in school where like I said something and everyone made fun of me for it. And I was just like, why?
I'm honestly glad I homeschooled because
Yeah.
like I didn't have that. The meanest person to me in my life was my brother.
Yeah.
We were homeschooled together.
But I don't know. Like I felt like that was kind of cruel. I think the question that she asked, because I think they were talking about menstruation.
I
And
think so.
she asked, like, oh, well, like, what happens? Like, do you bleed out of both if you had to? And that's when everyone was just like, ha ha.
You got two, haha.
And that, like, stuck with her for, like,
Ever.
to, like, even senior year.
Yeah.
Also, that was said, that the friend Priscilla came to sleep over at the house, and Priscilla just stuck, like, a picture of her parents, like, a framed photo picture of her parents on the nightstand. Like, I don't know if you remember that part.
I
Like, it was
don't
very
remember that.
insignificant. But, like, she comes over for a sleepover and she's like, she pulls out, like, a framed photo of her parents and sticks it on Kathy's nightstand. And it's just like,
I don't remember that, but that's
really?
weird.
That
Yeah,
it
I guess
is
if you miss
weird
them, but
for a
wow.
night.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just need to make yourself a little bit at home, but I feel like that's too at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Like I understand like a blanket or a stuffed animal, a
Yeah.
pillow, but like
A
a
framed
framed
photo of your
photo.
parents.
That was a little bit odd, yeah.
Another thing, because this was taking place in the 90s, so we didn't have like technology like you
Mhm.
do. And I'm so glad that we don't have encyclopedias anymore.
Yeah.
Because the amount of things that I'd probably be asking and having to dig through as an encyclopedia that might not even be an encyclopedia
Yeah.
because, whatever. But I'm so glad we don't have encyclopedias like as like a big thing anymore that we have
My
to use for research purposes.
My mom and I were actually talking about that the other day, like encyclopedias, and how used to there would be like salesmen that went door to door, like selling
Yep.
them, and they were expensive. Because like
Yes.
she asked me a question, and like I like on the phone, and like I Googled it and told her within like 5 seconds, and she was like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I just Googled it," and she's like, "That's that's too crazy. Like used to you had to buy a book and figure it out," and I'm like,
Yes.
"No, I mean now you just got it." I mean, you got it like right here. It's like immediately. I can just look it up anytime I want
Hmm.
to.
So after Kathy dies, Sally kind of blames herself, but like nobody blames her. And the whole reason why Kathy died is because of the whole car crash. And the reason why the car crash happened is because she was rushing to school. Well, Billy was rushing to school, so he was speeding down like Main Street, and he was trying to drop Sally off at school first before they took themselves to high school.
Mhm.
And Sally blames herself because if she didn't force Billy to take her to school, then they wouldn't have been there and they wouldn't have gotten into that car crash. But Billy blames himself because he was the one that's driving, and everyone's pretty much blaming him.
See, my thought about that is, yes, he was driving, he was speeding, and yes, it was her fault that she was in the vehicle at all because
Hmm.
she was late for school. Sally did Kathy's homework because Kathy asked her to. And then, because they were watching like a presidential debate or something, like a speech.
It was the State of the Union
Yeah, the
address.
State of the Union address. And so Kathy's like, I'm going to go on a date, but I need notes for this for school tomorrow. Can you make notes for me? And Sally figured out that because like her parents were talking that apparently the mom wants to have sex with the president. And she thought that, as a 13-year-old, that's mind blowing. My
Yeah.
mom's wanting to have sex with somebody that's not my dad. Like that's weird. And then she writes that down and Kathy's reading it on the way to school and she sees that she wrote our mom wants to have sex with the president. As Billy's driving, she's like, read what Sally wrote. And that's what caused the accident. And that's what
Yes.
really pisses me off because I'm like, I know you're 16. But
Yeah.
like a big part of driving, at least my instructors were heavy on the do not look away from the road for more than like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Even then, that's too long. But like
Yeah.
definitely not more than that. But I don't know. Like that just made me so mad because everyone's like, "Oh, it's because he was speeding," and I'm like, "It's because Kathy told him to read something
But also
while
he
he
was
was
speeding at the same
driving. He
time.
was speeding."
So that wasn't really in his favor either. But
Yeah,
also Kathy, you're right though. Kathy literally had just gotten her permit or her license, one or the other.
yeah.
So like she should know better.
I mean, that's such a big part.
Hmm.
Um,
And then after that, because Billy ended up getting pretty injured in that too. Like Sally, not a scratch on her.
Literally, she's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Billy, he smacked his head along the steering wheel, I think, and that's what like broke his jaw. So he had his mouth wired shut while his jaw healed, and so he
Hmm.
couldn't talk, so he would message people on like instant messenger online. And so
Yes.
Sally would
Yeah.
something like that. And Sally would message him and they'd talk back and forth. And then they started talking on the phone. And like that makes sense because they both were there when everything
Trauma
happened.
bonding.
So it's like trauma bonding and they
Yeah.
like knew each other and they were, like talking to each other and being able to relate to one another in all those senses. But then her dad finds out that that's who she's talking to because her dad was just like, we are never going to be communicating with this family ever again
Hmm.
because they killed our daughter, which I mean, yes, but also no.
Hmm.
Like that was an accident. But again, like you're grieving so that you need to blame somebody else.
Hmm.
And so when he finds out, he gets so mad at Sally. He's like, "Why are you talking to him, blah, blah, blah. You were never
Yeah.
allowed to talk to him again." And then she loses this person who she was using kind of as like, I guess her therapy in a way, like
Kinda.
trying to
Yeah.
like get over like the grieving process by talking to somebody who can actually relate to the situation because her parents weren't going to do that.
No, I mean because he was there too.
Yes.
Because like her mom pretty much like mentally checked out
Yes.
for a little while after the
Not even a
accident
little
happened.
while, like for the rest of the entire
Ever.
book.
Yeah.
Which one of the other crazy things too is that her mom, this is like a lot later. This is like maybe when like Sally's in like college or afterwards. So Sally was like a lot older, and her mom's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go through shock therapy. I did all this research and stuff."
I
And
know.
I'm just like, that's so
That's so
like
dangerous.
that sounds so
No.
dangerous. And like what they do is like they apparently like I don't know if this is still a thing. I hope not. Because that sounds scary. But they like put like a paralytic in you or something so that like you can't move. So then like they shock you
Oh
and
my
you can't
gosh.
react to it. You're just kind of sitting there.
I guess that's
And
safer than jerking, but at the same time,
like
goodness.
that's no. And that's what caused her memory issues towards the end of the book because she couldn't like remember and she was just like, "Oh, like I know I'm supposed to be sad, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be sad about."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's no, I don't like that."
That's honestly that's selfish because like your daughter went through like this traumatic thing of like physically was there and saw her sister like die pretty much,
Hmm.
and then you're just gonna be like, what can I do to fix me?
Yes.
Like I don't know. Like as a parent, like I understand like that's like the worst thing that you could go through is like losing a
Yes.
child. Like thank God I've never done that, but like I would want to be there for my other child. Like
Yes.
I'm not the only one that suffers from this. Everyone collectively.
I'd want to make myself better for my child.
Yeah.
Like I'd want to do whatever I can. And one of the things that she ended up doing is going to see like a psychic,
Yeah.
which was really weird. She'd go there and the psychic,
Yeah.
which they called it a psychic, but I guess it's more of like a medium because she was able to see Kathy and be able to, I guess, like talk to her in a
Mm-hmm.
way, something like that. And her mom's just like, oh my gosh, like she saw Kathy and like we
She's
could talk
coming
to
back.
Kathy.
Yeah.
And then the psychic one day was just like, oh, like I see an old man. And she's like, she saw Grandpa and was like so offended by the fact that she saw Grandpa and not her daughter because she was still
Yeah.
hanging on to the fact
To
that
the
her daughter was
daughter.
still there. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I mean,
Man.
I get it, it's your child, but like you gotta move on at some point.
I know, especially if you have another child that still needs
Yes.
you, like a younger one.
Yes.
And yeah, after Kathy died, the mom like pretty much mentally checked out. And then yeah, so far I don't think the mom has been there for Sally, who witnessed Kathy die horrifically, but surely Sally is fine. Like, she wasn't eating, like she was going to school like normal, yeah, but like she was just going through the motions. And like
Hmm.
every once in a while, her mom was like, "Oh, this must be so hard on you. That sucks."
Yeah.
And then it would just like move on. And I'm like, that's crazy that you don't want to be there more for your daughter.
Yeah. Like and then because of all that too, and I think this is like a huge influence because like the way her parents kind of acted, and I guess also with the times too, with the way parents parented back in the 90s and early
Hmm.
2000s, because this goes into the 2000s also.
Hmm.
Um, the description didn't give that away. But that along with the parenting and then also like what she has as her sister's role model stuff. So when she's like 14 or 15 or something, she gets invited to go to the state fair or the county fair or whatever it is
Hmm.
by Priscilla, who's the older sister's friend.
Yeah.
Because her mom's just like, oh my gosh, you should go hang out with Priscilla. And like Sally's just like, Priscilla wasn't my friend, she was Kathy's friend.
Hmm.
And then she called Priscilla and said, you should hang out with Sally, because, whatever. And so
Hmm.
Priscilla invites her to the fair, and mind you, like all these kids are like a lot older.
Yeah, because
So,
these are like seniors. Like Priscilla
yes,
at this point is like a
seniors
senior. Yeah.
and maybe even like older.
Yeah.
And so they go to the state fair. She brings her friend Valerie to
Hmm.
go there, and they're hanging out there all day waiting for Priscilla. Priscilla finally shows up later in the evening because they went early in the afternoon. And then they go to a field and they start drinking. And I'm like, you're not even
Wonderful.
close to being like a legal age to drink. But I
Yeah.
guess that's like kind of also like what the 90s were, is just this is what you're doing. And
Yeah.
then she starts making out with guys, and I'm like, you're making out with guys who may even be older than 18, which
This
is
is
kind of
illegal.
pedophilic, a little, just
Yeah.
just a little bit. And she didn't even know the guy's name. She's just like the guy with the Sprite shirt just started putting his tongue down my mouth, and I'm like,
I know this, honestly, the way this book describes some things like that, I'm like, that is an interesting way of it being written out. Like I don't know, like I guess because this Sally was supposed to be a little bit mentally unstable, I feel like.
yeah,
And so like the way the author was writing was correct for that, but it was a little bit off sometimes, especially because like right after Kathy died, Sally started dressing like her and like wearing her
yes.
earrings and putting
Well,
on
she tried
makeup.
to, but then her mother was just like, "Oh, is that Kathy's clothes? Take that off."
Yeah.
Because she didn't want her to be Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy was her own person. She's just like, "You can't be Kathy."
Yeah.
But she wanted to be. That's why when she was getting rid of Sally, not Sally stuff, when Sally was getting rid of Kathy's stuff, she kept those gold hooped earrings
Hmm.
because she really liked those.
Yeah.
What did you think of Peter,
Which one's Peter?
the boyfriend of Sally during high school, who said that they were boyfriend girlfriend since fifth grade?
Oh. Yeah, see, I thought part of me was kind of like that's kind of cute, but also it's kind of cringy. Like a little bit. Like I thought it was like the cute, like little like high school cringy kind of deal. Does she end up she's not engaged to him, right?
No, she was engaged to somebody else, but
Yeah.
they dated and they broke up like the night they graduated from high school.
Yeah, because they were supposed to go to prom together and then
And
she ended up like just ditching it, not even telling Billy, like I'm not sure or not Billy. Um, Peter being like, "Hey, like yeah, I'm gonna go with you, like let's go." And then the night of, she just drove around with Billy
yes,
like the whole night. And like I thought that was really like poor decision. Like that was mean. Like don't do that, you know?
I mean that is mean, and but also it was like the 90s. I
Yeah,
think she had a cell phone at that time then, by that point.
I think so.
So she had a cell phone at that point, so she could have said something, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think like during that time when they had cell phones, you could actually like message or like you had to know
I
the phone
don't
numbers.
know.
You
Yeah.
like you had to know the phone numbers in order to call somebody, and I don't know, maybe she just didn't know, but it
Yeah.
didn't really like specify that. She just didn't say anything because she I think she thought about it, but she's just like, no, I'm not going to say anything. And so
Yeah.
she was just like, I'm just going to hang out with Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly,
Because,
I liked Peter. I wish that she would have been like content with him, you know, because
yeah, he didn't
I
seem
think he
like
was
too
pretty
terrible of a
sweet.
guy. He was
Yeah.
pretty like, with her boundaries, he was pretty like he stuck with her boundaries when she's just like,
Yeah.
no, like he didn't really like, not too much. I can kind of tell he kind of wanted to force something upon her in
Yeah,
a
like she's
way,
getting kind of tired of waiting.
but he still respected it in a way.
Yeah.
But also, like, I didn't like the part where he was like, oh, well, I asked you to be my girlfriend in fifth grade and you said yes. And then you never broke up with me. So we've been dating since fifth grade.
That
And
was a little,
Sally's just like, but we didn't talk for like 4 years.
yeah,
But
that
he's
I
just
can
like,
see how
but we're
that's a little
boyfriend,
weird.
girlfriend.
Yeah. I thought from the title that it would be a thriller.
Me too. Like
And
it looks like it would be a thriller. The title looks like it'd be a thriller. But on
yeah,
Storygraph, I was looking and I'm like, could it be a thriller? After I finished reading it, and it doesn't say anything about a thriller. It's just a fiction book.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, like it's like 91% emotional according to the community review moods from Storygraph. But now, see, we don't read the description, like for our
No.
listeners, we don't read the description or any comments or
Mm-mm.
reviews or like anything. We just dive into it blind. And so we kept thinking, or I kept thinking, I'm like, okay, this is the part where it's gonna be a thriller. And then it would just
Right.
continue being like an emotional book, which I mean, honestly, if you like emotional books and you like books that are gonna make you think and make you reflect and make you feel sad, like I would 100% recommend this one.
Hmm.
But I was waiting for a murderer, you know?
Yeah, like
Especially
I,
because it says on your sudden disappearance. To me, I'm like, someone's been kidnapped.
yes, me too. I was just like, oh, there has to be something.
I
Or like you
know.
died in some way, and then like 30% through is when Kathy ends up getting in the car crash and dying. And I'm
Hmm.
like, well, that should be the end of the book at this point.
Yeah.
Because like there's all this buildup and then this happens. So I'm like, what else could possibly come after that?
There was like a huge chunk, which I should have written down the percentages or pages, where I did not have a note because it was just like going through the motions of Sally's life and how she felt and like her family. And there was really nothing important, like story
Yes.
wise that happened. It was just kind of like, okay, we're here. This is what we're doing now. She's dead. This is what life is like. And I'm like, that's really like sad because like you are going through the motions, but a lot of it was really dark.
I mean, it was that for me. It was just like it just kind of felt like I was reading journal entries
Yes,
that
that's
like,
exactly it.
which is what it is, but like it's more like journal entries that are also like here's like letters to Kathy kind of, where it's just like I'm
Yes.
telling her my thought process through everything. Here's what's going on, like before you died. This is what happened as you were dying, and then also what's happening afterwards. So it's kind of just like telling her what's going on, what's her thought process, but there was no plot. Like there was
Yeah.
no build up, no climax. To me, the climax would have been Kathy dying,
Hmm.
but that's not the case because I was like 30% away through the book. Like I
Yeah.
remember looking at that. It was like 30 to 34% of the way through the book is when
Hmm.
that happened. And that like that would in my mind be like the climax.
Yes.
But no, there was like a lot more after that, which I should also note the way that the book was broken up, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that it was broken up into like four different parts.
Hmm.
And like each part was just like, okay, well, this is this section, which is like before her death. And then like this section is like after her death. This section, I think, is probably her college years. And then like that fourth section, for me, like I felt like it didn't make sense because it kept jumping between like time, between the timeline, because it would talk about
Yes.
like, here's the present, and then it would talk about what happened like 3 years ago. And then it talked about the present again, and it just kept jumping back and forth, which I thought was really confusing for me because I'm just like I'd rather it be all in like chronological order than like you jumping
Yes.
back and forth unless there was like distinct
Need to be reason.
or like distinct like here's like this whole section that's going to be in the past because you know like some like regular I say regular but like your standard book has like chapters, so if you had like a
Hmm.
whole chapter was that was like your you know back in time, like that makes sense, but like
Yeah.
this just jumped
It was
around a
jumping back and
lot
forth.
and that
Yeah.
was really confusing.
Yeah, because towards the end, she was living in New York, she was engaged, and
Yes.
then she was visiting home because her dad was trying to chop down a tree and she was worried about him.
Well, her mom was worried
Her
about
mom was
him.
worried. Yeah, his
And
mom
then
called Sally to come home.
and Sally just went home out of like obligation, and then she saw that her dad was trying to do things, and the tree fell on their swing set, and she's just like, "Yeah, my dad's gonna kill himself. Let me go get him some help."
Yeah, and Billy was the plant guy.
Yes,
Yeah, he took
because
over his dad's flower shop.
after he died, right?
Yes.
And so like then they start like reconnecting because they hadn't talked in like years at that point because this whole time, the whole reason why she ended up getting with somebody else is because she thought that Billy was going to join the seminary.
Hmm.
And so like he was just going to be that's just who he was and she thought this whole time that's where he was, but he ended up going to become like the owner of that flower shop and he never contacted her. But this whole time, she's been in love with Billy because that's
Yeah.
what her sister like idolized Billy this like
And
all the way at the
thinking
beginning,
that he was off limits because he's like a monk, you
pretty
know.
much.
Yeah.
And so like also with like that in mind with her like idolizing Billy because her sister idolized him and also all the trauma bonding, it would make sense that she would want to get with Billy and she would get with Billy because she did end up getting with Billy.
Yes.
I think before all that happened with the seminary, uh, I don't remember at what point it was, but she ended up screwing with him
Hmm.
in his bedroom, which
Hmm.
apparently at that point he had never brought a girl up to his bedroom.
Yeah.
So like she was like the first girl he brought to his bedroom,
Yeah.
which is crazy because he's like 5 years older than her or something.
Was this when they were adults and he was bringing her to his family home?
Yes,
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking. I think that they were adults, but even
at
even
that
then,
point, like it's weird.
and like in the book, she like when she's talking, the whole book she's talking as though she's writing as though she's talking to Kathy, and so any mention of Billy is automatically your boyfriend,
Yes,
Billy,
which is kind of
and like
weird.
that did make me feel uncomfortable because when did it shift from your boyfriend to Billy to
Just Billy.
my boyfriend Billy, you know?
But they never like officially dated is the other thing too.
No.
Is they never
Yeah.
officially dated, but she always did refer to him as Billy. And I just want to
Yeah.
make this clear too. Like I said that like they have like a really big age gap, which I mean age gaps are fine. Like if you want to have a huge age gap, that's on you,
Consensually.
consensually. But also they've known each other since she was like 13 and maybe even
Yeah.
younger than that. And so it's
Yeah.
like this guy who's like older than her kind of like has to me it's giving like
Because he went from viewing her as a child to my girlfriend's little sister to an adult. It's kind of a
yes,
weird shift to
it
me. Like
is.
I feel like it is a weird shift.
I mean, it's kind of icky, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I feel like it makes sense because, the way she saw Billy prior to all that,
Hmm.
plus the trauma bonding.
Real quick, just want to mention there's a Lydia in this book, and she's a therapist and she sucks. That's it. That's the note.
Was that her name? I forgot.
Yes, it was
She was
Lydia.
very inconsistent. You are the most significant person in my life next to my husband.
God. Next to
But,
my husband.
but I
Oh my gosh.
that therapist was just there.
And yeah, literally, she was just like, "So how do you feel about that?"
And she
And
wasn't
I
really
think
like a therapist
no,
either.
I think the therapist was in like maybe two chapters tops. Like she was not big in the book, but the only reason I
No.
made it know is because my it's Lydia.
And she didn't like mention like the therapist didn't help anything.
No,
And then like she needed therapy for sure,
absolutely
but she never really got it. Or if she
no.
did, that she never really mentioned it, which except for like those little things. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, sis.
Yeah. See, honestly, if I witnessed my sibling die right in front of me, therapy would probably be the first thing on my mind.
That would be the first thing on my parents' mind.
Yeah,
Or that
that
should be
too.
the first thing on my parents' mind if that were to happen. Because just like,
Yeah.
this is a traumatic thing. And you were physically there and you saw it. Like, you need to talk to somebody about
You
it.
witnessed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is more throughout the book, but I think especially towards the end, it felt like a lot of like these little snippets of scenes that she was talking
Mhm.
about felt very incomplete. Like it felt like there was supposed to be more to it or there's something else that happened, but it just was like cut off.
Yeah.
Especially like that last section, the very, very, very end. She's at her parents' house that's during the hurricane, and she was trying to fall asleep I think Ray ended up falling asleep. Ray's her fiance. I don't remember if
Yeah,
we mentioned that, but Ray falls asleep,
I
and
forgot his
she
name.
she normally doesn't fall asleep immediately after like they go to bed. She usually ends up getting up and walking to the balcony because they live in New York City at this point, but she's back home in Connecticut, and she messages Billy and she's just like, hey, like blah blah
You
blah,
up?
whatever she said, pretty much. And then he said, hey, come outside, like, because I'm here. And she goes outside and it's raining and they kiss or something.
Hurricane.
Yeah, during a hurricane, and they kiss. And that's pretty much like the end of the entire book. And it's just like, okay, well, does she get with Billy?
No, no,
Or
that was not the ending. I made a note of the actual ending. So they're in the hurricane, they smoochy kiss, and then it cuts to I'm mad. It cuts to her waking up next to her fiance, being like, "Oh no, yeah." She wakes up to the fiance, and then the fiance's like, "Is the hurricane gone? Where is
wait,
Billy? Why are they still engaged? What?"
hold on.
That
No,
was
it's
the
not.
Yes, it is.
You're right. I missed that.
Oh my! It's like what? Like there's not even a chapter. Like there's no it's not like chapter 49. Like it's just like we kiss in the rain and then she's waking up next to her fiance. And I'm like, okay, for one, was it a dream? For two,
Yes.
what is happening? You
But
know?
okay, but she doesn't, but Ray doesn't say anything. It's just like in the morning, like you're gone because the hurricane, this was also kind of significant. The hurricane's name was Kathy.
Oh
Because their
yeah, I
sister's
forgot about
name.
that.
So
Yeah.
her name's Hurricane Kathy. She's like, oh, like it's everyone's just like, oh my God, it's you. You're here to like visit us or something. And she's just like, oh, you're gone. But like, yeah, she does wake up the next morning and they're talking about how she's a tropical storm and what's going to happen to her after that. She's like, you'll return to us. I know when we are repainting the house or making pancakes for breakfast or digging in the garden or laughing at something funny with our heads back and our mouths wide open, the way you always laugh, we will breathe you in without even knowing it. And that's it. Like, it doesn't
Okay.
talk about whether she decides to get away from Ray or whether she decides to get with Billy. And I'm just like, that's all you're gonna give us.
I know. Like that was
Like,
such a cliffhanger.
I didn't like that. Like, I would have loved to know whether or not for me, I was rooting for Billy
Yeah.
because it makes sense. Like, they loved each other.
Yeah.
I don't think she really loved Ray.
No, it kind of seemed like he was a little bit controlling too.
I mean, that, but also, like, she was talking about how when they had sex, it didn't even feel like sex. It just felt like she had a tampon in her. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a weird thing to compare.
That is very weird. Honestly, this book is like wild. Like just the way the author had written, like to be in this person's mind, which honestly makes me interested in reading her other books to see like if they're written the same or if this was just because Sally was supposed to be like mentally damaged.
I mean, I don't know. For me, like it was kind of a struggle to read it just because there was no like plot for me.
Hmm.
Or to me, there wasn't any plot. It was just her talking.
Hmm.
And it just there was times where I'm like, "Oh, this is actually really interesting." And then like it would change to something else and I'm like, "What is this?" So
Yeah.
for me, like I don't know, I kind of it was hard to also rate it too because I didn't like a lot of the time it just felt like it was just words. It wasn't anything spectacular.
Yeah. I don't know. Like if she was writing to be in the mind of someone who is a little bit mentally unstable because of everything that happened, like like the trauma and the abuse, because I mean she was like almost sexually abused a couple times in the book by
Yeah.
like guys and stuff. But I don't know. Like it is captivating because like I didn't want to put it down. Like I wasn't gonna DNF it, but it did stretch on for a lot longer than I felt like it was necessary.
Yes. Like I said, like when I thought like at the point where like Kathy ended up dying, I was just like, well, that should just be the end of the book
Yeah.
at that point. Like
Yeah.
that just felt like it should have been it. But it wasn't, there was more. I feel like if it was more of like this is like how she like the first part was just like how she got her mindset is just by idolizing Kathy. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, like with everything like her parents did, kind of just like this is how it's like shaping me. And then like the climax can be like she realizes just how mentally unstable she is and like healing from that. And then like pretty much writing a letter to Kathy saying, like, this is what you did to me because of the way that you are and how I idolized you and how our parents treated you. I
Mhm.
just want to say, like, this is who. like I became because of all that, and this is who I am now. Showing how she healed from all that trauma.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would be a little bit more interesting because there's actually like a plot to that. It's just showing you how she like grew over time. But this, like she's like even still like 28. This is like 15 years after Kathy died, I think.
Hmm.
And she's still mentally unstable.
This read more as a memoir than a
Yeah.
novel. Because, like, I just looked up to make sure, because it's really reminded me of I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that was a memoir before I said it. But yeah, like that's a memoir. And that's how this felt because she was writing. It wasn't like a novel, Like it was more like a memoir. I feel like that this is more like a, not like a, like a fiction memoir.
But I don't know. I still like we read I'm Glad My Mom Died and I loved the way that was written.
Yeah,
Like I couldn't put that down. I could just read through that
that
whole
one.
thing because of the way it was
Yes.
written. But this, like I just
Didn't hit
I
right.
don't know. It didn't hit right for me.
What it wasn't bad, but just I don't think it hit right.
Do you have any more notes?
I do not.
Okay, neither do I. What are your buzzwords?
Family oriented, thought provoking, and dork.
I wrote interesting at times, but felt like nothing happened. There's no plot, just words. What did you rate it?
2 out of 5.
That's pretty low for you.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Again, it wasn't. Honestly feel bad rating books like 3 or lower, but it was very like sad and like very
Yeah.
emotional and like it did make me think a lot about my siblings and like how I would feel. But most of it was really just disturbing.
Yeah.
I feel like it was quite disturbing.
I can see that. For me, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. But it was kind of hard rating it because I was kind of just like, there's times when it was actually really interesting and I did kind of
Yes.
like it, but
Yeah.
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Like for me, it wasn't that great.
Hmm.
But
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, just like you, like I don't like rating anything, like even like lower than a 4 sometimes.
Hmm.
But like I just didn't like it too much. Like to me, it was just like,
Yeah, rating books is honestly really hard because I'm not gonna read it and be like that was trash. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna see where this author had put in time and probably money, blood, sweat, and tears.
yeah,
They dedicated themselves to write 340 pages, but there was just not really any plot to it. It's like it was
yeah,
confusing. Maybe I'm just not the right person with the right mindset, but like I gotta have plot. Like there's gotta be a reason for this book, you know?
right. And I think like there's people who probably would like this book,
Hmm.
but for me, it's not like the kind of book that I like. So it's
Yeah.
just, but I'm sure there's people out there that would like it. Just for like the type of book it is. And I mean, there's people who wrote like a whole bunch of 5 stars,
Hmm.
but I don't, just for me, it didn't hit.
Yeah. I understand that. I'm in the same boat.
All right.
Are you
So
ready to do the spin wheel?
I'm so ready to do the spin wheel. Let's hope you get one this time
And
because
let
the
me move my
last
cup
four
out of the
times we've done
way.
a spin wheel, it's been me and my picks. Spin wheel.
I know that I did not spell this right, like at all. So we're just gonna ignore that specifically. Oh my gosh, it's another
Ooh,
Alyssa book, or is
that's
that
not mine.
me?
That's you.
Oh, that is my name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh
that's my
my gosh.
name. All right, we're actually reading a me book this time.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
crazy.
We haven't
Okay.
read a JT Geisinger since our
The
first
first book, our
episode.
very first episode was a JT Geisinger. Yeah,
And that was like my pick. So it's funny that you have a pick that's also JT Geisinger.
I know. I put this one on here because it just come out in like October this past year. Like it's new, like it's new book.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Okay. So next time we'll be doing Blackthorn by J.T. Geisinger, the girl that I lost my V card in Smut to. If you
Ooh.
call it Smut, I've read so much worse since then.
Yeah, me too. I've read a
Okay.
lot of her books. I've never read this one though, so I'm kind of excited because
Yeah.
I really loved her once I first read Perfect Strangers.
Hmm.
So I'm excited. I'll really like it because I did like a lot of her books, but then there's a couple of her books that didn't hit for me. So I'm excited to see where it falls on my spectrum.
See, I was gonna read this as soon as it come out, but then I wanted to save it for the pod. So
Oh,
I've
you're
been
so
waiting for
sweet.
it. Thank you so much. Okay. So thank you for listening to this episode of Bibliophiles Audio Files. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at biblioaudiopod@gmail.com. If you're an author or have a book recommendation, then you can email us there and let us know. Otherwise, you can find us on social media.
Biblio Audio Pod, because we made it simple and made it all the same. So we
Yeah.
have Instagram and we have TikTok, so you can check either one of those out. And I think that's it for
All right.
now. We
Well,
might have some fun things coming up later, to be
I
honest.
know.
But
We got we gotta
we haven't got any final details yet, so
we gotta lock in first before
we
we
gotta
start
lock in
talking
before
about it.
yeah, so
Okay, well, you'll hear us in the next episode. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.